नेमकं काय शिकवणार आहे. कारण मी आता एका कंपनीचा इंडिपेंडंट डायरेक्टर आहे पोलिओ रोबोटिक्स आणि त्यांनी आम्हाला सांगितलं 6 महिन्यापेक्षा जास्त याच्यात शिकवायला काही नाही. So then how you build the curricula, medical robots for example. Now can you design any robot, manufacture any robot in India? Can you manufacture drone controller? Deny. And at that time there, the solution is not there in ChatGPT. The solution is not there anywhere. In books you can get some reference.
Hello.
पण मला एखाद्या रोबोटला असं बॅलन्स करून दाखवायचं, रोबोट चालू शकतो, मेडिकल सर्जरी करू शकतो, किंवा रोबोटला तुम्हाला इंटेलिजन्स वापरून काही गोष्टी कन्फर्म करायचे. सी यू वांट टू कन्फर्म सर्टिफिकेट वेअर AI डेटा सायन्स इज नॉट यूज्ड. इट कॅन गिव्ह यू मल्टिपल सोल्युशन बिकॉज फायनली ते ऑप्टिमायझेशन अल्गोरिदम and then it can lead to multiple solutions. This multimodal optima, for example. So that you need to be very selective what is going to work, and then multiple solutions for the same answer. This is a very non-linear behavior. So in AI algorithm, in neural network and ANN specifically, we use optimization method. So we find out whether it is trained properly or learning has happened properly or not. And then the basic problem is how you confirm that this is the correct answer. And therefore, SPM Society for Industrial Mathematics says that you need to confirm this with classical mathematics or physics. And unless you do that, nobody is going to believe. म्हणून मी तुम्हाला काय उदाहरण सांगितले की AI वापरून ऊसाची उंची वाढली किंवा माझीच उंची वाढली, म्हणजे असे काही सरप्राईज लोक न्यूज. So this is not going to happen in reality. We need to use, so finally it is the basic mathematical calculation and the system dynamics which is going to tell us that this is correct or not. जे Volvo गाडीला तुम्ही पाडू शकत नाही, AI न वापरता AI वापरताना कोटेशन देऊ शकतो का? This is a very difficult problem. Recently there are so many medical instrument design problems and many things we are doing, and every day something new comes and people want to have good control systems and good signal processing for that. So the basic theory is still there. Now you need to find out which solution is better. Out of 10 solutions, which one is better? So healthcare is very crucial. So presently, now what we concluded in one of the meetings is we are able to assisted systems for any medical application, radiology or oncology or cardiology, but no direct solutions, and it cannot substitute the medical doctor. Because what happens is you are giving authority to medical doctor to take diagnostic decision, and these instruments and all those things are AI data science again is going to get a lot of difficulties for that. So if you get some data, how do you know that this is the correct big data? Now when you shift from small data to big data, there are several problems. For example, BC bound has to be satisfied in the mathematical constraint, and then you can say that this data is somehow correct. So data regularization, validation, this is the major process that nobody is working. डेटा येणार आणि तुम्ही त्याच्यावर काही निर्णय घेणार आणि तुम्ही म्हणणार की हे चांगलं आहे. Nobody is going to accept. It is unethical. So there are regulatory bodies who are working on this, and they give approval to certain things. There are standards. So for example, here I have mentioned some main bodies, 7 to 8 bodies are there who are working on the application of AI. And medical council of India is one. So there are several bodies who work on different aspects. One is FDA. So majority of म्हणजे आमच्याकडे लाखो लोकांनी ECCवर PhD केली. Presently also many are doing. Now this is not going to help. त्यांनी एकही instrument तयार केले प्रत्यक्षात. एक कारण आहे की there is no certification, there is no validation. They have not understood ethical committees are there. Then how you are going to say that this is what it does? Signal generate करून electrode लावून म्हणजे एका ECCचं काही त्याला आपण justice देत नाही. So there are so many other things. For example, there is a lab in Anna University, and they are able to certify certain instruments.
So when you are
able to certify, can you certify that this is correct? Then only it is accepted.
then there are many
There are many other bodies which will come in picture. College मधल्या कुठल्याही गोष्टीला शिक्षा उपयोगात येत नाही. Specifically in healthcare. त्याच्यानंतर validation, certification, testing, या गोष्टी कोणालाही packaging is other.
So then we get into
all this. Where AI data sets comes in picture, where it is useful. So basically you are trying to design some AI agents or agentic AI. Elaborate करता and then how you find that how to deal with this data.
So data
आपण कसा मिळवतो त्याचे थोडंसं physics आणि chemistry पण थोडंसं सांगा. So we go to next.
आणि स्लाइड मध्ये
माझे फायनाइट कोणाच्या स्लाइड मधून काही पूर्ण सोल्युशन येत नाही. ट्रिमेंडस इन डेप्थ या विषयात 40 वर्षापासून काम करतो. I know how it is. Still you think that problems every day. त्या प्रश्नांचे उत्तर कोणीच देत नाही. कारण चॅट जीपीटी मध्ये पण नाही.
ओरिजिनल रिसर्च
कशाला समजायचं चॅट जीपीटी मध्ये नाही. सॉफ्टवेअर काढलं पाहिजे. There in chat GPT you reject the thesis. This is required to beginning of the research and design and development for the healthcare system. It is very stringent. It is true about other systems. Industry also is equally dangerous.
Talk about
any industry. Agriculture also it is equally dangerous. Somebody can easily pull the people they don't understand. AI and विश्वास ठेवायचा कसा?
How do you build that trust?
This is one responsibility.
So now I am
going to tell you basics of AI data, how medical data comes the patient, as the patient enters, what are the things that, what you should know about that, how to bother about AI healthcare problems. Next one.
So what is the need now? So if I ask you in general, without getting anything, why you need AI and data science today? Multiple reasons are. The second course is without data. Yes, without data. How do you get data? But then why AI data science? Why we are talking now 4-5 years? 4-5 years. Without branch processes. So how do you know that this is required? Equally सांगा थोडंसं. Yes.
Automation.
Yes.
Automation.
For
automation.
Automation is not the goal. Automation is not the goal.
Automation केल्यामुळे
माणसाचं जीवन उंचावत असेल तर मग तुम्ही करा. But automation itself is not a goal. engineering की गरज का पड़ती है?
To ease the work.
Yes.
To ease the work.
So it is a work. That is also not the complete reason. This comfort animal उंचावला असतो तरी असं नाही पण बेसिकली करेक्टेड सगळे उत्तर येस
डेटा जो आहे तो खूप साऱ्या व्हॉल्यूम खूप आहे त्याची व्हरायटी ऑफ डेटा डेटा प्रॉपरली वी नीड फिल्टरिंग ॲट सम स्टेज आणि मग आपल्याला तो डेटा फिल्टर करायचं वी नीड अ व्हिज्युअलाइज
You want to say something? सगळ्यात शेवटी हातात
So
basically,
all the answers are
just touching but not
closely touching the reason why we
reason why we go for this.
collect the data, analyze the data,
दूसरा प्रश्न असा आहे
have you seen any such requirement
before 2015? 2010.
जेव्हा कोणी
डेटा सायन्स काही बोलत होतो
तुम्ही केव्हा बोलायला
तुम्ही केव्हा बोलायला
ज्या
लागले?
दिवशी तुमच्या
ज्या दिवशी तुमच्या खिशात स्मार्टफोन आला, त्या दिवशी तुम्ही सुरू केले.
So you are talking about
So you are talking about big
मोबाईल मध्ये सगळ्या
मोबाईलमध्ये सगळा जो डेटा असतो
मोठा data असतो.
मोठा डेटा असतो आणि तुम्ही
डेटा म्हणून
डेटा म्हणून कन्सिडर करू शकता.
other data
Other data was
but we did not measure that.
we did not measure that.
Art was
Art was COVID मध्ये 2015च्या 2008 चालत नव्हते का? चालत.
कोणाचं brain चालत
कोणाचं brain चालत नव्हतं का? But then
they don't
did not bother about how it is work.
then why suddenly you
Why suddenly you want to go for that?
one thing is the
computational capability and ANN is one tool which was not explored earlier.
इथे वापरला जातो.
इथे वापरला जातो. आम्ही शिकवत होतो. त्यावेळेला ते शिकवत होतो.
That time there was
But that time there was no way to realize. कम्प्युटरवर खूप वेळ लागायचा. रात्री algorithm सुरू केला तर सकाळी रात्रीपर्यंत तो algorithm सकाळी झालेला
it
असतो.
was
So it was very much time based because of computer speed
and power
and power to that is one thing which is element but that doesn't justify the requirement.
one thing is
So one thing is you cannot model the real world.
so in fact
MRI is medical lab. MRI is there, the machine is there, and we want to calculate for example sin x upon x.
तुम्ही नुसतं sign
तुम्ही नुसतं sin फंक्शन वापरलं काही लाखामध्ये अर्निंग करा. sin x upon x वापरलं कोट्यावधी रुपये असं ते आहे. हे दोनच फंक्शन सगळ्यात तरी पण आमच्या लोकांना
असं
महत्त्व कळलेलं नाही.
every sign here
So every sign त्याचं कारण असं आहे minus infinity to plus infinity concatenated into not zero is equal to zero t is equal to capital T
and from some basic zero to minus infinity. So this is the practical case.
So this is the practical case.
And there is that.
And there is
a lot of disturbance.
Create a lot of disturbance in the Fourier transform of this.
So sinc function
So sinc function ideally should generate rectangular wave
Boxcar function.
function. But then
so
it is not able. So when I use this function for selecting the slice in the plane, then it is a distorted version of the rectangular slice.
इतक्या
इतक्या सोप्या
सोप्या भाषेत
भाषेत आपल्याला देत आहे.
This is a
function which is one function is going from minus infinity to plus infinity. And in implicit domain it is very short because of Fourier transform relationship. And then some data is short duration data, other data is infinite duration data. Well, again to truncate that.
So even though we are talking
So even though we are talking about big data, we are truncating it.
there is
Some there is a procedure for a reduced rank method, which will number of data points.
data compression
Many data compression methods, data representation methods are there. Singular value decomposition is used in many cases.
basic
So the
reason
basic reason
is behind it
is big data
we are talking about
because we are talking about
constant monitoring of
the system.
not the
Not कसं चालतं, सारखं मला पाहिजे.
blood sugar
Blood sugar,
continuous.
you want to monitor continuously. You go to lab, so you go to lab,
sample
you blood
then you
sample,
get in the
and then you
afternoon
get in the afternoon
and then
something like what you do not know what we get in between.
post panel
The post panel paper is
very
very म्हणजे कोणाला मला सुद्धा कळत नाही.
so I think
So
this is the problem.
I think this is the problem.
So what is the solution is
So what is the solution is to continuously monitor.
you have to watch
So you have a watch
variable
and then
it is giving
variable
continuous
it is giving
measurement of blood sugar.
continuous
And then there is
measurement of blood sugar.
म्हणजे आता आमची
आता आमची गरज नेमकी काय तुम्हाला कळलं हे बिग डेटा का हाऊस नाही बिग डेटा
but then
practical problem is I do not know what to eat. म्हणजे तुम्हाला मी प्रश्न विचारला तुम्हाला पाणी किंवा कोणाला उत्तर देता येतं
तुम्ही पाणी पिता
जे तुम्ही पाणी पिता आणि लागले असे म्हणतात तुम्हाला एक्झॅक्ट टाइम माहित नाही पाणी पिणं चांगलं आहे की इतर अजून एक काय खावं आपण So if you want to apply this technique, then you need to work on the technique. Diabetes, sugar, the problem. But this is a dynamic. So dynamics is important. Kinematics and dynamics. How things work in real time. We want to find out the reason. Medical instruments, and then find out the reason why you want to go for things. Blood sugar is one example. So my favorite test is to get out on a real time basis. And that is the reason why we are going for दूसरा इंडस्ट्रीतलं उदाहरण देते. मला या कन्क्लुजन मध्ये यायचं की आम्हाला बिग डेटा प्रोसेस का करावं लागतं. त्या कंपनीमध्ये I think I was MITC company. They were observing the wave. Somebody every day त्याचं तेच काम. ऑसिलोस्कोपवर तो वेव्हफॉर्म पाहत बसायचं. दुसरं काहीच काम. ते लंच ब्रेक घ्यायचं पुन्हा वेव्हफॉर्म. 2 दिवस झाले नाही एवढं लक्ष just waiting for the pattern.
So this becomes a big data.
So this becomes find out the short duration pattern and that go by naked eye. Just very difficult. Either to move from need to move from the moment to big data. The moment you talk about big data, the machine learning शिवाय big data
मला असं माणूस दाखवतो big data.
मला असं माणूस दाखवतो त्याने big data.
Still God.
ते लोक म्हणतात still God.
Still big data.
And still big data.
Big data. Is
normal. This is one reason why you want to go for machine. पहिले प्रत्येक स्टेप ऑफ big data आम्हाला big data कळाला why there is a shift from big data to small data. Why it has come only after 2019 also after lockdown and then why we are talking about AI. बाकीचे buzzword कुठे गेले blockchain म्हणजे कोणाला तरी blockchain म्हणजे कोणाला तरी आकाशात गेल्यासारखं वाटतं. So there are many म्हणजे भाषण देणारे पण बरेच लोक त्याच्यावर निघाले. कितीतरी लोकांनी blockchain वर भाषण केले. म्हणजे that was a difficult buzzwords, but you know many buzzwords have disappeared.
So I think it is not picking up. Maybe I have to use AI for picking up. Hello. Here's something. So this is with AI. This is without. This is with AI. This is without.
Sometimes this.
So what we have
decided so far is why big data.
we want to go for machine
Why we want to go for machine learning.
taking example by now
Taking example by example. Now there are multiple examples.
confirm
Where you
yourself
can
that here is
confirm yourself that here big data.
and then you are talking about
And then you are talking about
now this is
smart healthcare.
given
This
is
is
different kind of direction.
given a different kind of direction to the healthcare system. And then you don't need to always visit your medical talk.
Because the data that is coming.
Because
See,
the data that is coming, see, it is the internet of people.
When you are putting
Things.
sensors on human
So you are putting sensors on human body and dynamic data is available.
devices, I can show you.
There are many such devices I will show you. So this data is coming now. Now which buzzwords have disappeared now?
Machine learning, deep learning,
Machine learning, deep learning, याचं इतका जग केलेला आहे. एक त्यांना एक्सेसिव्ह आता सगळं
they think
ते
that
मिळत आहे.
this
They think that now this itself is
and
the
इतक्या वेळेला machine
offline.
learning.
आणि इतक्या वेळेला machine learning.
But now you see that
But now you see that machine learning people are not talking so much.
AI.
They are talking about AI.
आम्ही पण एक सेमिनार घेतला होता.
आम्ही पण एक सेमिनार घेतला होता. मी काय आपण नाही.
सेमिनार
So सेमिनार in Ruby Hall.
So because of AI in
Because of AI in radiology, oncology, nuclear medicine and cardiology.
it's actually in 2016.
So actually in 2016, one phone call came from Bangalore and they asked me to design a course on smart healthcare, smart synergy, smart energy, agriculture and smart agriculture. So anything that is presently going on, how we make it smart city or smart city or some those was given first time when nobody was talking about it. Actually, course in that so at some point of time 2013 it was electromagnetic mechanical research electronic association विकला. This was now second thing is now 2006 and 17 anything that is not having machine learning is not getting so जब डेटा वापरायची गोष्ट म्हणजे आम्ही डेटा वापरत नाही big data वापरतो is different so the potential is different because you need different but AI is not the first we talk about and then we talk about 70 we are talking about 70 microcontrollers, devices which will form homes. The Raspberry Pi, and then you connect it to cloud. So what has happened is that data that is coming from sensor, how it is going to cloud and this has changed the whole architecture of the system. So once it goes to cloud, then anybody can access from their mobile or from any laptop device like laptop and this is available anywhere. And this is available anywhere. This is the future of Internet of Things. And this is the paradigm shift in other medical areas as well as other areas. प्रत्येक ठिकाणी असं क्लिअर करत गेलो की आपल्याला तो यंत्रणा आता जे कंट्रोल केलेलं आहे and why we are pulled into this particular area. Show you some slides. So now I will show you some slides. With data I told you about with data I told you about 2017 when we came to know by this was created by one chapter and other expert one chapter chapters on different healthcare is smart healthcare is smart many other things. So here first time something is happening in the book. That is created by residents and we have several around and I was we thought that we should write a book on it. This was the beginning I hope. This was the beginning I hope. Before that I didn't see any book like this. That was a new direction. So that was a new direction that is coming for healthcare and many applications, many industries. So that is the beginning for me. So that was the beginning for me. For anybody else could be here also. But then whenever you want to release the concept, like then you should write something. Like new course. You want to introduce a new course without any new write code. Without code, do not start for any new course. Just picture notes book and publish it, convert it to book and publish it, good publish. माझं असं वगैरे दुसरं पुस्तक फॅक्ट करून राईट आउट केलं ते बाहेरच गेलं so unless you use a chat Google and chat you should start global chat can we design our own Google or search engine I want to share document on ठीक आहे. अजून हा ओपन करू शकतो का? अजून हा ओपन प्रॉब्लेम आहे. मेडिकल डेटा स्टँडर्ड मेडिकल डेटाचे काही स्टँडर्ड टाइप ऑफ यूजेस तुम्हाला याची एक स्टोरी सांगतो. जेव्हा अडचण येते ते मला तो फोन करतो. टेलिकॉम केलंय टेलिकॉम केलंय सांगितलं दुसरा एक टॉपिक होता आयटी कंपनीमध्ये मला काम होतं भेटायला म्हणजे सर आता मला लावून the reason was he wanted to know about type जेव्हा प्रॉब्लेम खरा असतो त्याच्यामध्ये थांबलो सोल्युशन त्याच्यामध्ये कशा असतात and this is how secrecy is maintained in data. जर तुम्हाला आणि जे इन्फॉर्मेशन मेडिकल रिलेटेड करतात आणि त्याचं हेडर सेशन करतात त्या हेडर काय पेशंटची इन्फॉर्मेशन सो आय थिंक स्कॅनची इन्फॉर्मेशन सो आय थिंक इट इज व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट and cyber security where data has to be secure. Of course, the data was not in the sense of big data, not in the sense of big data. So data process is data manually. So when I told him he told me that otherwise it is a mistake. The job right. एक शब्द सांगितला. I think this is what you are doing. फक्त तुम्हाला तसे लोक फोन करायला भेटले पाहिजे. So I think it is very important to know certain things. आणि chat GPT आज सुद्धा तुम्ही याचं उत्तर पाहिलं नाही. It could save somebody job. हे मला वाटतं करायला नाही तर ते नाही जमलं तर काढून टाकतो असं. I think it is very important to know certain things very clearly. कुठला तरी प्रश्न सुटला जॉब जाणं हा त्याचा प्रॉब्लेम होता तो सुटला पुस्तक त्यामुळे मी डिझाईन केलं अशा साईट्स तुम्ही पाहिजे मशीन लर्निंग वापरून आम्ही डीप काहीच नाही the same neural network multi-layer neural network म्हणून त्याला deep learning म्हणतात त्याचे काही वेगळे applications एकच असतं to extract the features from data which happens because of some special algorithm so it is a feature extraction and then next is classification so neural network is good enough for classification and then you call it as machine learning and then in other case deep learning both of these tasks computer तुम्हाला अशी सगळीकडे दिसत असेल हिस्ट्री सगळ्यांनाच माहिती आहे हे पण सगळ्यांनाच माहिती आहे ही फिगर सगळ्यांनाच माहिती आहे नेटवर्क फिगर आहे you see that the multi-layer neural network which we call as deep neural network many problems some complexities having some complexity so algorithm become slow on normal computer but otherwise it's no difference we can extend things so the first method you see the machine learning function extract from data we extract and then some features and then basic problem are the classification I want to find out whether it's chair or table it is very easy for human beings to talk about this तुम्ही हा जो डेटा मला दिला and it says that this is chair मला ते कौन सा I think there are serious problems related to classification and this is going to be overcome the user understanding of HCR and how do you see that and how do you confirm that so next step so what is the basic motivation I told you why this needed जेव्हा तुम्ही प्रवास पडले तेव्हा तुम्हाला आता दुसरा पर्याय anything that is running with small data is not going to be solved किती प्रश्न आहेत आमच्यासमोर किती प्रश्न आहेत बघा घराडीपासून सुरू केलं तिकडे रांजणगाव आणि पुढे पण त्याच्याकडे इतके इंडस्ट्रीज आहेत. See, there is a shift in industry from 4.0 from small data to big data. हे अजून आम्हाला करता झालं नाही. First project which we have done त्यांनी boiler analytics त्यांनी केलंय. समयाने यांनी केलं. Professor त्यांनी केलं. Group members but then people are not like this. त्याच्यात काय कसं करावं याच्यात mechanical engineering problem because now they are not वगैरे हे असे विषय नाही. Main problem was how to estimate calorific value of burning fuel. लॅब मध्ये ते पुन्हा ब्लड सॅम्पल जातं you cannot measure in the lab, you cannot measure very easily the calorific value but the running condition you cannot measure. Again the dynamics. So you cannot do that. So we measure other parameters and we estimate these kind of estimate करता येते running condition मध्ये. I think that itself was expressed in terms of efficiency. आता तुम्हाला साधा प्रोजेक्ट घ्या आपण करायचा डिझाइन वन AI एजंट estimate corresponding to carbon light design AI system using neural network can find out what is the carbon footprint, how much is the energy consumption, how we will save that energy sustainability like this kind of AI algorithm can definitely do for hospital we have to specific about healthcare. Yes. Next one. Mainly I would measure you measure the simulation and its value. Anything with small data is not going to be sold in the market. We need to big data. Because the data that is coming from this continuous and use small samples. Earlier we used to do zero cladding or something just to maintain conditions by sample but now what you are big data is also there, and then how do you conclusion how do you process the data? It's a very important subject. So next one. There is a difference between machine learning and training. Machine learning is data as we understand data. Machine also understand the same. So stable machine also understand that this is so this is a learning kind of thing. So this model we prepare can be used extract some data which is unseen. Next time it will be evaluated as a table. So classification works like it will not show the chair. Then we say that its learning has happened properly. Not training is what is standard data set. You can show some standard models you can see. So that's the training. That's why I mentioned here the difference in learning. Training and learning. Training मध्ये तुम्ही शिकवता 100% आणि शिकणारा learning जो असतो तो 5% and then we do not know because there is a lot of difference between training and big data systems also. So training is your design to address the parameters. Adaptive filter it can work as a training model. So you change the parameters. But it goes training learning बाजारात सगळेच गेले असं कोणी एक करते I don't find it. But when you go there, just different types vegetables for example, potato, or onion, some weights of that sigma, xi, and w. So that you put in your basket, and then you say that this is the cost of this is of the cost. You are calculating the transform which is going to transform the material into cost. Weighted sum is a transfer. Those number add it becomes integrated. 2-point average is integrated. Low cost. If you subtract the numbers, it becomes differential.
we can find out the software
when you add several numbers.
So differentiator
and integrator these are very important in signal processing. Everybody was this kind of control system. But then you can the big data scaling and if you do something during training process there is a sigma excite output. And the other one is analysis function when you go to home, when you go with your assistant, there is a certain post visit somebody asks you what is the cost of money and what is the weightage of that. You can understand the daily, you get the correct statement. So this is basically analysis. Both are analysis and synthesis. Data. Can you synthesize the machine? That one surprising machine. The machine is industrial. There be industrial mathematics. Machine is behaving like mathematical
MRI, for example,
the machine calculates 2D Fourier transform.
then we take inverse Fourier transform,
And then we take inverse Fourier transform.
we can imagine how this
We
machine
can imagine how this
machine to behave like
So you want machine to behave from
calculator.
2D Fourier transform
तुम्हाला
calculator.
करता येते का?
अशी मशीन तुम्हाला करता येते का?
हे केलं होते.
हे जे केलं होते असे Fourier transform अनेक आहेत.
Change the whole
And
paradigm.
then they have changed the whole paradigm.
Scientists
From there was a single negative measure that passed through the system and then you measure that. So this is what you do. Then you bombard the whole bunch of the synthesis, just like all the synthesis and then find out what comes out. Similarly for the next stage, can you synthesize? But this is the special course in industry and synthesis of machines from
data दिला तर machine करून टाक.
मला डेटा दिला तर मशीन करून टाक. Machine reading if you just see ceiling fan, generating sine.
Can you design another machine which can
Can you design another machine which can generate sine? Compressor also generates. Any rotary machine is going to generate sine.
from big data? Can you synthesize?
From big data, how can you synthesize something?
From this was the course.
This is a challenging. So this was a course which
I don't think
these
these courses will
I don't think these courses will actually colleges because it's a different scientific. So next one, screen Z केला. तुम्हाला screen Z केला असता. नेटवर्क कॉम्प्युटरचे असतात. आणि कॉलेजेस बरेच we cannot touch those problems. But there is observation. In सगळे problems हे observation मधून येतात. But studies ही आपल्याला सगळं but studies view त्याचं कंप्लीट केलं कमी. So there are several such things. How we learn, then you can write the problem. Still be important. Then you can write the problem. Learn cannot be the problem which is not observed cannot be perceived. आप प्रश्न मध्ये नेहमी असतो. एक थोडंसं शॉर्ट मशीन लर्निंग शॉर्ट फ्रेमवर्क आहे. Consist of history, data direction, validation, there are different ways to design reduction and then value generation, and then finally model estimation and classification. So this is the basic machine learning framework. Next one. Data. If I ask you how much data you generate, but you will not know. Every day. So you data, generate data, perhaps it is becoming one borrowed data.
You can apply all the linear.
And then you can apply all the linear
Only if you want to transform
So
your report.
one thing if you want to transform your report is shift your measurement like 10 reading घ्यायचे 15 जेव्हा पण 10 reading घ्यायचे 15 घ्यायचे आपण होतो तर ते जेव्हा असं एक प्रमाण 10 reading सांगितलं करतो 10 reading घ्यायचे 11 घेतलं तर आपण कधी अशा प्रकारचं पण आपण कधी पण ते असं विनोद होतच असतं पण ते दॅट असतं त्यात प्रश्न विचार आज तुम्हाला त्याचे प्रश्न विचारतो why not one next term now you need to go by next term now you need to go for one next तर तुमच्या you do not know which machine generate big data. मी सोडून टाकते डिपार्टमेंटला सांगा ही मशीन big data डिपार्टमेंटला सांगा ही मशीन big data generate
Every month is
See, every month is eye opening. And then you experiment on it. So that becomes a smart level. And if you get to follow the level, you can see that the overall step is so if you bring a column on this story, then you can turn whole this this again top level phone is computer science. The next computer science. तुम्हाला मेकॅनिकल पुस्तक you all can data can change the world character. So the data can change the world character. Data म्हणजे सर्व आता असं म्हटलं जातं की डेटा म्हणजे सर्व काही योगा ते डेटाची कोणी भक्ती करत नाही योगा So I think if you have data, then you have data. माझ्याकडे दाखवलेला डेटा म्हणजे लोकसंख्या वाढीला सिक्युरिटी डेटा ते कुठला डेटा म्हणजे बारकाशी आहे शिक्षकांचा परफॉर्मन्स असतो आणि जे लपून ठेवतात ते सगळ्यांना आठवतं अदृश्य गोष्टी सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे त्याच्यात सगळे सारखेच आहे त्यांच्याकडचे प्रोफेसर सगळे प्रोफेसर असे सांगतात की यामध्ये असे you go to the very and then finally the winner is also another clearly मला सांगितलं त्या केस मध्ये शिक्षण त्याच्यापेक्षा हुशार असं नसतं ते मला गरज वाटतं हे आमचं मनापासून हुशार ठीक आहे दुसऱ्या हुशार असते ठीक आहे पण आम्ही आमचे हुशार होऊ आम्ही जेव्हा हुशार होऊ मला आताच काय घाई आहे हुशार झालंच पाहिजे जनरल काही लोक म्हणते जनरल आता सिलेबस मास्टरचा बारावी आता काही लोक म्हणतात जन्मताच एआय घ्यायचा हाऊ दिस कॅन खूप that stage आणि आम्हाला एक 15-20 मध्ये सांगितलं की रोबोटिक्स मध्ये साइट क्लिनिंग I think this is not explored researchers that you are not touching human you don't touch normally the human those kind of abuse expectations those kind of expectations माणुसकी विसरून चालणारच नाही आणि कुठलाही रिसर्च करून दाखवा where to use AI, I think we use AI, where to use AI and not to use AI, but where to use but where सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे काही ठिकाणी हे सांगतात so you need to use this kind of functions for example this theory is extremely useful to go for maximum like this sometimes to go for maximum like estimation that will be based period number next one basically I want to show that what is classified COVID आहे किंवा नाही एवढंच सांगायचं yes किंवा no या फॉर्म yes किंवा no या फॉर्म मध्ये primary classification but you can go for multiple segments you can classify any numbers. Next, estimation is equally important. Estimation is equally important. Base theorem वापरून तुम्ही किती पैसे base theorem वापरून तुम्ही किती पैसे कमवू शकता ते लाखो पण त्याचा विचारच नाही करत. You can reservation system so you know the ticket book probability condition book the condition finally you know whether it is going to confirm or not so probability post critical those things that there are those probabilities could be exchanged based on हे आता जेव्हा अभ्यास करतात त्यांना त्याच्यातून पैसे कसे मिळतात तुम्हाला सगळ्यात मोठं म्हणजे आता मी तुम्हाला सगळ्यात मोठं मेडिकल मध्ये पण खूप स्टॅटिस्टिक्स आणि टू स्टॅटिस्टिक्स एक फॉर्म्युला घ्या कुठलाही एक फॉर्म्युला घ्या त्याच्यातून सांगितले टेस्ट करा त्याची फॉर्म्युला ट्रान्सफर मी सांगितलं असेल कॉस्ट 50 रुपयाचा असतो केआयच्या बरोबर मी जर तुम्हाला बनी घ्यायचं काही पैसे मिळत नाही असं केआय सांगून काही पैसे मिळत नाही असं सध्या चालू आहे म्हणजे असं ते सध्या चालू आहे नेक्स्ट Next one. Yeah. So support based question. Yeah. So support based question. You need to get a mind. Next one. Next one. Next one. subclassifiers. Okay, next one. So we need to evaluate the applicability of AI or machine learning. Basically, optimization is much more as compared to AI. AI च्या algorithm आपण optimization so there are so many dependence on augmenting function. How we exactly classify between one layer and other layer. Signal values, signoid function dependence. So there are a lot of dependencies. Then the global function is another such question. So lot of data analytics is required. So you can process the big data and estimate some values. For example, measure temperature continuously, body temperature, just kind of what temperature, just by measuring temperature. And then you will surprise that. It can be lot of tests to spec. The ECG है to spec. Glucometer है pulse oximeter. Pulse oximeter. That is simple. Pulse oximeter. Second, pulse oximeter, glucometer, very simple things in healthcare could be now. By the way, nobody has designed any सगळ्यात भाषा शिकतो सगळे सायन्स शिकतो त्यामुळे कोणी neither we should design shock absorber property we know the same सगळ्यांना रेझोनेट करायची पाहिजे कोणाला घरातल्या डिस्कसच्या आवाज पाहिजे पाहिजे ते प्लेन सिलेक्ट नाही जगत आपली बघा संध्याकाळी याचा आवाज होतो पण कोणाला असं वाटतं नाही की याचा आवाज शून्य करून टाका नेक्स्ट I like the applications of this. Genetic learning, neural network probability, some approach, some other things like genetic algorithm, and many variants of that. And then basically, every time what you do is apply optimization at the confirm that here is less than certain. Then also there are multimodal optimizations. One way optimization there are several types. Another area of mathematics and engineering several years is optimization of industrial applications is one time. This itself is a difficult topic. Next one. One project which I want to highlight because this was one course which I designed in 2015 and I hope that more extent of management audience where we were conducting. The audience were PGs from English, from physics, from pharmacy, and one or two were from engineering and mathematics. So I found that everybody is MRI and त्यांना मी MRI पाहिजे. So then it was a managerial problem. If you use this machine, whether how to generate profit, how much extent it will generate profit, and then whether its operation will include operation profit, but then it will again optimization problem, but then it involves parameters like finances and operational issues. This becomes a challenge that insurances in between, and if there are insurances in between this kind of patient, then you know this kind of patient, this presentation I did, but this was people who are people who are just managing that and perhaps you need to also see the Markovian, how Markov change would be, how this Markov process would be, whether it is Markov process or something else, then you have to model this.
We know that there are several such
problems with a very small ECG machine. Now, you purchase ECG machine and you want to find out whether it is really verified, popular, and it's occupied thoroughly and whether it is running properly. So maintaining the health of the machine as well as its benefits to the user and its benefit to the user. This becomes a difficult problem. So you guys are going to take data and find out how many cases and so this becomes a small and so this becomes a small problem, but AI is a we design AI agent for many of these. You find that in many of these at least we have discussed 5-10 projects for healthcare. Next one. Next one. It will keep suggesting, but the major thing is keep suggesting, but the major thing is classification as a classification. This is binary classification. This is machine learning. I hope you know. This is machine learning. I hope you know most of those things. Big data is stored. Big data is stored, and there is training problem is there. You are given the real live data application. Ultimately, the aim is classification. The problem is very simple. The problem is very simple. We do classification based on but it is not so easy for the project is to and the project is to derive machine learning in the so machine learning is basically extracting meaningful information from the data. Very simple. Deep learning, I think I should not change. Deep learning, I think I should not change. According to me, say that somebody here just making that somebody knows linear is compared to he is slightly brilliant as compared to neural network. So and I think that is not machine learning. Just like I think that is not. It is just like getting that first year as boy is not that different as compared to an student. But it is anybody could be anybody could be brilliant to a first year brilliant as compared to as compared to somebody can even sit in the same class. For example, digital signal processing for subject at any level, subject can learn subject at any level after that is not the way. ते आमचा असा एक वेळ आहे पहिल्या ते विसरून गेल्यानंतर चौथा I think सोपं वाटतं this is just one concept. Anybody can learn that. काही लोकांनी 14व्या वर्षी गणित वगैरे असं कधी सीबी राहून कमी वयातच शिक्षण देतो. नेक्स्ट तसंच ते डीप लर्निंग आणि मशीन लर्निंग भाषा फलक क्लासिफिकेशन आणि विषय क्लासिफिकेशन नेक्स्ट so what is learning generative learning expert system design करायला पाहिजे या गोष्टी सांगतो की त्याला वेग तुम्हाला कोणीतरी वेग करेल you will come out with creativity हे केलं तर तुम्हाला सांगतो त्याची कॉस्ट कदाचित मीटिंग प्रोजेक्ट 50,000 म्हणजे नुसतं बेस केलं आम्ही काय करतो सगळं पुस्तक बघतो मग त्याच्यात काहीच नाही आधी एक करून डेमॉन्स्ट्रेट करा and decision making AI we want that machine should have decisions machine should have natural language processing पण system मध्ये प्रश्न विचारायचा आणि उत्तर द्यायचे component so you need some knowledge base in there user interface is there user interface मध्ये प्रश्न विचारायचे शिक्षकाचे महत्त्वाचं काम असतं त्याला ज्ञान सीएसएस आपण म्हणतो असं काही मोठे गुरुजी वगैरे घेतात ते नॉलेज प्रश्न विचारायचा आणि उत्तर knowledge expert system can do this आणि याच्यावर तुम्हाला निर्णय पण घ्यायचा trying to train some system and get some agentic AI system to that next inference implementation मध्ये inference implementation मध्ये आपले decision next just keep So there are several ways by which you measure the knowledge and also then from a language process. But you want a language process because you want the machine to can talk. BCG machine can talk with you as human being. Next one. So I just want to comment here. Well, for the So I'm just telling you that this. So I'm just telling you that this is not going to work, but the machine should talk. These are other problems. So I want to show that the ECG machine that we talk to it makes a lot of people the project. तुम्ही आवड देऊ नका. It is a sellable. ज्या प्रोजेक्ट आवड तुम्ही द्या तो विकल्या जाणार नाही. बेसिक मोटिवेशन म्हणजे जगाला ₹500 अवॉर्ड मिळाला म्हणून प्रोजेक्ट 7 लाखाचा प्रोजेक्ट मिस people will go behind Saturdays. Saturday, innovations कार्यक्रम चालना मिळाली. Those programs should also involve some mediation for this. Next one. So I will skip certain things. Next one. So I will just skip this. You can read. Just skip this. You can read. This is also explained with the exhibit. Next one. So analysis and synthesis. This is facilitated by algorithms. Testing that will do this. Next one. Smart process analytics. With another slide. Medium slide. Showing some data.
PDF folder.
Yes. I'll just show you the data.
रेडियोलॉजी ते उद्याच आहे ना उद्याच हां PDF ओपन केलं ना PDF ओपन घेतलं कुठे येतं
Just go ahead.
Yeah.
One image and upgrade. So this is ECG machine. Can you machine break this machine so that the machine is talking to the natural language processing and other problem is ECG machine. When I discussed with cardiologist said, so he said that even though there are so many doctors, interpretation of ECG is difficult. If you do something, it's data analytics and ECG machine is not performing, then that can help. So there are machines, two little machines, one should be like this, and variables and then find out, you can easily find out what the ECG really is cloud-based. So mainly cloud-based system and real-time analysis will allow you to instant information, instant diagnostic, ECG guidelines, दोन दिवसात काय होईल so that right now you can capture that. Can you change machine? So can you change this machine to that? This is what we are. Next one, X-ray machine. X-ray machine. Which are the good applications? Can you so that you can change this machine so that you can talk data analytics and do quick data analytics and when you do it in a portable analysis. ECG काढायचं लाईट गरज नाही अशी द्यायची खरंच गरज आहे Can you do it and then they reject any radiology AI as a retrieval of the data. Patient information in the sense it is not diagnostic information. It is patient's report. Can for any medicine. It can handle loads of which doctor is reporting to what is very important. So this kind of system, agentic AI, we can easily for handling the documents. This is demand. So you do not know. तो डेटा Google वर काहीच करत नाही. Separate engine, separate engine for one problem. So this is one problem to data instantly get the data instantly. Based on the laboratory test, laboratory test gets data and data about data from sensors and those kind of sensors. I will show you some instruments. MRI scan, that is MRI scan. Could not imagine that so. My data could be so. That is other thing. तुम्ही किती डेटा जनरेट करू शकता याला काय नेक्स्ट वन एक बघा इथे हार्मोनिक केस आहे नॉर्मल हार्ट मॉर्फोलॉजी नाही. You cannot measure space and strain. You cannot measure space and strain. Mechanical organs stress based theory. So does this theory test parameters? So heart is basically non-visual body and beat 4 times cycle. And then happening from systolic to diastolic condition. So is a difficult. So harmonic phase SPPU is quite images SPPU is the vector having some frequency. Now we have limits horizontal component, cosine component split. So cosine component split. Then split. Then you got another component, just asserts. So then this vector. This is a vector upside down. So this is a captured oscillation. It has captured the oscillation. Now when you flip this vector again, which is just 90 degree flip. This kind of pattern has this kind of pattern on the hardware as a pattern. There are multiple solutions. Can you design optimal solution? You can definitely use data learning or small data. Multiple cycles are required to capture the complex now interestingly now, in spite of the knowledge of AI machine learning, harmonic transform of Fourier transform of this sequence in the vertical pattern, horizontal direction with the results for it. That's a Fourier transform. Partial frequencies are vertical pattern. You capture and then one of the spectral states obtain phase angle, and that phase the harmonic phase. Information about Earth's motion. So it's very interesting to me. When I know how to generate sequence, visualize this, you can visualize this, and you can also understand how this can generate lot of data. So can you show the complete picture of the heart, quantify the stress and strain at every point, at every instant? This is the scientific data. Can you handle the scientific data? Within paper paper मध्ये जे big data लावून त्याच्यावर तुम्ही big data लावून ते नवीन पेपर ते करता big data काही लोकांना what you do is doing small data now you take big आणि ते Google मध्ये नाही next अजून नेटवर्क स्लाइड एक्सपेरिमेंट सो दिस वाज एक्सपेरिमेंट दैट माझ्या फ्रेंडच्या दोन गोष्टी होतात दिलेला ब्रेन आहे next one is my brain is verbal cortex so and the motor cortex and it is getting excited this is generating period is brain मध्ये period आहे मला सेन्सर करता आहे and there is stimulus spots regarding experiment in Mars scanner Mumbai record so many images. This is one image is there where the result is shown. This kind of waveforms are at every point in the right. Points in the charge license get and then one you may just but you find that it's very interesting process with temporal and spatial data. Now you got a lot of option to use AI this kind of processing this kind of thing. And then validate using some classical. Tomorrow I will show you how to reconstruct image. सोपा एक्सपेरिमेंट how you got idea basically he wanted to see inside the human body without organ concept तसा खूप आवडत आहे असे बाहेर human body मध्ये but then analogy was जरा काही जत्रे शो असायचे आता नवीन लोकांना त्याच्यामध्ये दहा पैसे टाकले त्याला 10 पैसे टाकले सिनेमा काय करत नव्हतं आम्ही 10 पैसे ही थोड अबाउट त्याच्यामधून आम्हाला 10 पैसे टाकले असं मग ह्युमन बॉडीमध्ये पण आपण and then we get about Fourier transform, Fourier student student they brought up society, national practice levels of India. Society for Cancer Research and Communication and the because actually engineering medicine biology and आपण knowledge करण्यासाठी because we could get a lot of information and knowledge from all these sources. मला एक मिळालं की याचे रिझल्ट पाहिल्यामुळे एक माणूस सुद्धा भेटला but I used to get medical 500 people at least medical doctors and engineers and that too in the hospitals they can come so this result was confirmed by Dr. Sawant and she said असे लोक होते तेव्हा मला ते रिझल्ट आले पुन्हा सुरुवात करायची afterwards they told that this is correct beat the medical data सुद्धाचे त्याचं व्हॅलिडेशन हे आपल्याकडे it behaves like brain is continuously so brain is continuously you know when you do some task you know when you do some task it's sensory cortex also gets the blood flow side with the blood flow blood flow जेव्हा काही करता तेव्हा blood flow to oxygen and then oxygen to deoxygen convert to deoxygen hemoglobin and then you डोळ्याने पाहता तर human body तयार केली how do you stand or do मला कळत but it is inverted pendulum which robots are able to do that या डोळ्याने काय केलं इकडे क्रॉस डिस्प्ले this is occipital lobe this is motor cortex frontal lobe
पोलीस सुद्धा witness
so I think these are proper so one more will do that so one more previous lot of data but lot of data is there we and we can facilitate data collection one thing is what we need is small data small data that type now you can do it big and continuous monitoring the kind of because if you want to do pathology there next time results continuous monitoring of whatever physiological for smaller time and longer time तुमच्या बाळासाठी चांगले रिसर्च रेग्युलरला ब्रेन रिसर्च 40% च्या त्याच्या 40% च्या बच्चा लोकांच्या people they come and volunteer आणि मग ब्रेनची साईज कशी कसं असते किंवा काय चेंजेस होते सगळं पॉसिबल ब्रेन इज पॉसिबल ब्रेन मॅपिंग तर सगळ्यांना माहितच झालं स्टडीज capital to understand their functions and then how one areas many important areas get activated simultaneously. So thank you. One or two questions and then some time. एक प्रश्न विचारा कुणीतरी एक प्रश्न विचारा practically you can tell any one example that how we can use it and how we can many people they try to diagnose the case. It's not a correct. I told you the horrible. The image registered color cancer. The image registered color cancer. Cookies are TV. असं त्याचं प्रेझेंटेशन इमेज दाखवलं बघा कॅन्सर इमेज दाखवलं बघा कॅन्सर आहे असं करून म्हणजे असं करून नाही डायग्नोसिस रेडिओलॉजी you can get some assistant here. It will be basically AI assisted radiology. त्याचे horrible परिणाम होणार आहे. But good question. Image आणि mathematics आम्हाला तिथं भीती वाटायला मोठा टॉपिक आहे पण मी सिलेबस सारखा टॉपिक करून नाही झाला चुकता सगळ्यांचे आपण एआयला पोझिशन केलं की आम्हाला एआय काही करून शेतकऱ्याला विकणार नाही एक प्रश्न विचारा म्हणजे अजून काही असेल प्रश्न पण विसरले
So you mentioned about genetic.
जेनेटिक मध्ये काय बदल starting point. Optimization takes place. As the optimization takes place, you just mix up the bits. So bits are the genes and you are going to take the mutation kind of devices, taking this one is replaced by zero. इसे changes करून optimal value. This is the genetic algorithm. The heart beta also similar. We say optimal heartbeat. So then we say that is the mutated version of the rate. You would have really got the right. I think what we can start from but if you start from some other value, likely that's you get one word. You change that. Heartbeat or something like that. You can use maybe what we did is genetic algorithm is sofa one which is starting one particular bytes optimize what is it mean we can change either 1 to 0 or flip the number they don't know and then slowly you come to the final results algorithm का वापर करून तुम्हाला एक solution मिळत आहे का जर तुम्हाला काही जागे सबमिटची सुट्टी आहे तुम्हाला सांगायचं या सीड्स मधून झाड तयार होणार अशा प्रश्नाचं उत्तर पहिले algorithm काही प्रमाणात provided you have guide space you can समजना तुमच्या समजना सर्व क्षेत्र होते सांगितले
Thank you for the valuable insights on why we use concrete data, analytics, and real-time applications in healthcare. Now it is time for our lunch break. Lunch has been arranged at the D2 building, room number 203 and 215, second floor. Please carry your lunch coupon which is provided in the registration plate. Kindly assemble back here by 2:15 p.m. after the break for the next trip. Thank you.
Charging. मी तिकडे घेऊन जातो. स्ट्रीम ऑन. हॅलो हॅलो हॅलो. आवाज ऑन आहे. हा पण हे मोबाईल कॅमेरा. हा यस ओके. मग विषय हॅलो 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 हॅलो. हॅलो 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 हॅलो. हेलो 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 हेलो. आ गया ऑडियो. ऑडिओ ऑडिओ कनेक्टेड OTG येत नाही की. हॅलो चालू ग्रीन. हॅलो हॅलो तिकडे आण बरं. हे आण कनेक्टर आण.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back for the second session. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome our next distinguished resource persons, Mr. Samay Kate and Ms. Vaishnavi Darade, who will be sharing their expertise with us in the field of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. Mr. Samay Kate is a senior software engineer in research and development working at the forefront of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. He has contributed to several AI and machine learning projects in collaboration with Bhivarabai, Pune. His expertise lies in machine learning, computer vision, and generative AI, where he develops advanced deep learning models and intelligent systems. He also has extensive experience in IoT technologies, microcontrollers, and edge computing, deploying AI models directly on devices for real-world applications. Joining him, Ms. Vaishnavi Darade. Ms. Vaishnavi Darade is a Google Cloud certified software engineer with expertise in generative AI and advanced machine learning architectures. She has contributed to several AI and machine learning projects in collaboration with Bhaskaracharya Pratishthana. Her technical proficiency includes working with state-of-the-art generative AI frameworks such as Hugging Face models and intelligent audio models for voice-based data processing. Her work also focuses on building document retrieval systems and applying large language models to solve complex data challenges, enabling AI-driven insights for enterprise-level applications. Now I request Mr. Samay Kate sir and Ms. Vaishnavi Darade ma'am to present their valuable insights with us. Let us welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hi
Okay,
everyone.
so hi everyone.
Today
So
we'll be
today
talking
we'll be
about
talking
this
about
particular
this
topic.
particular
Which
topic.
is
Which is
basically uh,
basically
when we
uh, when we
basically about the AI.
basically
Like when
about
we talk about
AI.
AI,
When we talk
it's
AI, it's
not just
not just
the things that we observe
the things
around
that
us.
we
Just
observe
like
around us.
let's say
Just
we
like
have
let's
large
say
language
we have
models which
large
we
language
use, for
models
example,
which we use.
ChatGPT.
For
We just
example,
query
ChatGPT.
something
We
out
just
on it,
query
and
something
then we get
on
a
it,
response.
and then we get
So
a
that's
response.
the extent that
So
we are
that's the
using
extent that we are
GPT.
using
Like we use it for
GPT. Like we use
different
it for
things that we
different
do in our
things that
day-to-day
we
life.
do in our day-to-day
But
life.
the
But
thing here is
the
like
thing here
how
is like
to
how
make
to
the best use out of it,
make the
and what
best use
other
out of it, and
things
what
we can
other
focus on.
things we can
So
focus
let's
on.
say
So let's
uh,
say
yeah, yeah, just
yeah.
so so to
So
begin with, when we
so to
talk about
begin with,
any
when we talk
AI
about any
application,
AI
we
application,
start like
so
we
we
begin
start like
everything with the
we
machine
begin
learning
everything
problems, or we
with the
begin
machine
everything
learning
with
problems. So we begin
the
everything with the
statistics part. So
statistics part.
initially, like when
So
we talk about okay,
initially,
what
like
is
when we
a
talk about
AIML
okay, what
problem?
is a
So
AI
let's
problem?
say
So let's say
nowadays we are experiencing
nowadays we
like
are
there is
experiencing like
something like
there is
intelligent
something like
systems.
intelligent
We use this word
systems.
intelligent,
We
or
use this word
let's say
intelligent, or
AI
let's
integrated
say
systems in
AI
even
integrated
things such
systems
as
in
light
even
bulbs, or
things
let's
such
say
as light bulbs, or
small
let's say
devices, like whether it's a
small
small
devices,
Bluetooth
like whether
speaker
it's
or
a
maybe
small
it's
Bluetooth speaker
glasses.
or maybe it's
But
glasses.
the thing
But
is,
the thing
like at
is,
what point we can
like
just call
at
it
what
as an
point we can just
intelligent
call it
system?
as an
So
intelligent
to
system?
begin with the simple thing,
So to
like
begin with the simple thing,
when we
like
are recognizing any
when we
pattern,
are
let's say if I
recognizing
give
any
you a
pattern, let's
numbers
say
like
if I give you a
2,
numbers
4,
like
6, 8, what will
2,
be the
4,
next number?
6,
10.
8, what will be
So
the
it
next
also
number?
involves a
10.
little
So
bit
it
of
also
intent.
involves a little
When we
bit of
proceed
intent.
ahead,
When we
we
proceed
go with the
ahead,
patterns like
we go
1,
with the
1,
patterns like
then we are
1,
having
1,
2, then
then
we
we
are
are
having
having
3,
2, then we are
then we are
having
having
3,
5.
then we
Can you
are
tell?
having
Can you
5.
even tell me
Can you
which
tell?
pattern is
Can you even
this?
tell me which pattern is this?
So yeah, it's Fibonacci
So
series.
yeah,
What
it's
is that?
Fibonacci
It is
series.
basically
What
when
is
we add
that?
two
It is
numbers, we
basically
get the
when we
third
add two
number.
numbers, we get the
So
third number.
like
So
initially when we talk
like
about
initially when we
like
talk
C
about
simple series, like
like
it was
C
just a
simple
simple
series,
series
like
which
it
was
was
2,
just
4,
a
8,
simple
16,
series which
adding
was 2,
numbers
4,
by 2
8,
or
16, adding
basically the
numbers by
even
2 or
numbers.
basically the
But
even numbers.
when we
But
talk about Fibonacci
when we
series,
talk about
like
Fibonacci
at the
series,
initial point, some of
like
them
at the
were
initial point, some
like
of them
really wondering
were
like how we
like
can
really
derive
wondering
10
like
terms
how
of
we
a
can
Fibonacci
derive
series.
10 terms of a
Let's say we
Fibonacci
want a
series.
15th
Let's say we
term
want a
of a
15th
particular
term
series.
of a
So how
particular
would we
series.
derive?
So how
So
would we
for
derive?
others, it was
So
like,
for
okay, this is
others, it was
a
like,
very
okay, this
like
is a
complex
very
problem. We cannot just directly
complex problem. We
retrieve. There are
cannot just
multiple
directly retrieve. There are
approximations,
multiple
multiple formulas
approximations, multiple
derived for it.
formulas
And then
derived for it.
there was a point
And then there was a
in
point
time when
in
the
time
answer was found using
when the
complex
answer was
numbers.
found using
Like
complex
we are
numbers.
having
Like
a
we are
particular
having
like
a
when we
particular like
see some of
when
the
we see some of
like
the
we have some of
like
the
we
expansions,
have
like
some of
let's
the
say we
expansions,
had
like
some
let's
of the
say we
Euler's
had some
formula,
of the
and then
Euler's
we use this
formula,
Bennett's
and then
formula
we use this
basically.
Bennett's
So
formula
what it does
basically.
is we
So
just
what it does
like
is we just
put them in a
like
there is a
put them in
formulation in
a there
complex
is a
numbers,
formulation
like
in complex numbers,
when we
like
calculate,
when
like
we
when we solve those
calculate,
particular
like when we
equations, we
solve
get
those
a
particular
particular formula
equations,
for
we
that
get a
series. Like
particular formula for that
when we
series.
know
Like
the
when we
first
give
two terms,
when we know
we can
the
derive
first two
any
terms,
nth term,
we can
and
derive
it's
any
an
nth term,
approximate value
and
which
it's
is
an
required from that
approximate value
formula.
which is required from
So
that formula.
was something
So
which
this
got
is was
intelligent.
something which got
So
intelligent.
initially,
So
even numbers was
initially,
easy. Like
even
we
numbers
all
was
know
easy. Like
intelligence.
we all know
Actually,
intelligence.
no, I won't say no intelligence, but
I won't say
it
no
involved
intelligence,
a
but
very basic
it involved a
intelligence.
very
But as
basic
we proceeded
intelligence.
ahead,
But as we
when we
proceeded
started with
ahead,
Fibonacci,
when we
in term it
started with
required some
Fibonacci
higher
n term, it
intelligence.
required some
So
higher
now,
intelligence. So
if you
now,
see everything
if
like
you
in
see
this world,
everything
like
like in this
follows some of
world,
the
like
patterns, we
follow
would
some
say.
of the
Even
patterns,
if
we
there are
would say.
irregularities,
Even
there is
if
a
there are
pattern and some
irregularities, there is a
irregularity
pattern
added.
and some irregularity
So
added.
if we are
So
able to
if we are able
analyze
to
this pattern in
analyze this
anything
pattern,
around us,
anything
then we can
around us, then we
have some
can
of the predictions
like
in them.
have some of the
And
predictions
though
in them.
these
And
predictions
those
are
these
very much driven
predictions
by
that
the
was
AI
given by
systems.
the
So,
AI systems.
if I talk about the AI
If I
problems,
talk about the
this
AI
AI
problems,
problems generally,
this
or
AI problems
basically the
generally,
problem
or
statements,
basically
are
the problem
classified into
statements
three
are
categories.
classified
We
into
would
three
say, I
categories.
would classify
We
it
will
into
say I will
basic
classify
three
it into
steps.
basic three steps.
I won't go into like
I
supervised or
won't go into
unsupervised. That
like
comes after all.
supervised or
I'm just
supervised, that comes after
defining my
that. I'm
problem
just
statement, like we
defining
are
my problem
the
statement,
problems that
like
we are
we
facing in
are
the real
the
world.
problems that
So
we are
one
facing in the
category
real
is
world.
So one category
completely
is
statistics oriented problem,
completely
which are
statistics
basically
oriented
we are
problem,
having
which are
particular
basically
sensors data
we are
set,
having
or whether
particular
we are
sensors
having
data
a
set, or
particular
whether we are having a particular let's say data is related to money, let's say stocks, let's say any kind of credit card score, financial data set. Then we are having again the sensors data, which is data from the pressure sensor, temperature sensors, for various systems. And like similar, which follows numerical data. It involves numerical as well as categorical data, like off-on state, 1-0 state. So those kind of things come into our numerical problems. Then the second category that I would for which AI applications are mostly carried out is basically image based. Let's say non-structured data. When we are having non-structured data, for example, let's say images, like we need to predict what kind of objects are there in this image, or what objects can be detected on this image. If there is this particular music, so we are nowadays generating various. Not talking about the generation part. I'm not talking about the generation part. Let's say if you want to recognize which particular strings are played, like musical instruments, we want to know what is the frequency of the particular steps, or if we are having any particular signal data, then knowing like when is the particular peak, or when are the values repeated, or something like that. So these things like analyzing images, wave patterns, and everything comes into the second category, using non-structural data. And the third application in this world would be a generative use, like we are using, whether it's a chat GPT or anything. But it's like we want to generate something. So whether we want to generate images, or whether we want to generate any text data, we want to get any answer from a particular OpenAI systems or as such. So this is the third application. So generally, when we are talking about these applications, applications are broadly classified into three categories. So as we will proceed, we will be talking about each of the category. So first category, when we talk about the machine learning problems, we are having this supervised learning and unsupervised learning. In supervised, we are having the data set as well as labels. Like particularly, we have the data, like particular readings are giving me fault, or particular messages are spam, or particular let's say particular financial data set is going to yield me particular value or as such, which involves predictions. So in these we are having numerous models, whether it's a machine learning model, then we are having this particular like linear regression, logistic regression, we are having support vector machines. You name an algorithm, there will be n number of algorithms. And some of the significant are even like decision trees and random forests. So they are even noted significantly because when handling mixed data, they provide us better results sometimes than the deep learning models when it's a mixed data. But other than that, when these approaches were found to be limited, so people started to research upon more things, and this gave an concept of deep learning. So deep learning is, you must have studied, it's like a neural net. So it's like a basic understanding of humans. So if we are touching an object, and if that object is, let's say it's an hot object, we will just take out our hand. But it will depend. Like if it is slightly warm, we might keep our hand. Like it's just the signals that are like proceeded from our hand. So if this if they are very more intense, so they are classified at different levels. So what is the level of intensity? What kind of sensation are we getting? And then it gives signal to the brain. So that was the motivation behind the neural networks, and they like rather than just using some of the formulation, at each step they are giving it some multiplier coefficient and adding those values and determining, okay, this particular signal has appeared, then it goes through multiple levels of neural networks and then it tells us what are the results. So when we talk specifically about healthcare data, so what are the opportunities? You don't have to necessarily focus on them. But for data set, like as we begin with, we have a lot of data sets that we can get from Google, or there are some government websites as well. There is this website which is Kaggle, which gives you a lot of data sets. So if you see, there you will get like whatever data you want, whether it's related to any particular X-rays, or whether it's related to like health or heart health, or whether it's related to any financial things or any particular, even it has data about like poisonous and non-poisonous mushrooms using pictures, or even you are having data about gemstones, like classifying gemstones into different like categories, whether it's a particular ruby or diamond or whatever it is. So all like there are so many data sets available here which you can use, and you can just like take any of the data set. You can select any of the data set, and at the top left you will get option to like create your own node. So some of you must be maybe using like Google Colab for coding. Some of you must be using local Python interpreters. Some of you will be using like Jupyter or let's say like PyCharm or such applications. So if you are aware about notebooks, basically Google Colab notebooks. So this Scalar is similar to that. Like you can create your own notebooks. Here you have one advantage. Like now I won't ask you to click on this draft session. But once you have added your phone number to it, it's not, you don't have to pay anything for that such. Once you add your phone number to it, you can just change the session type, and you can just select like whether you want a CPU execution, GPU execution, or whether you want TPU execution. So tensor processing unit. So if you are aware about it, it's good. If you are not aware, I'll just tell you in short. So when we are analyzing any numeric data, we get like very fast results. Like we in one CPU also the entire code runs in let's say maybe not even 1 to 2 seconds. Sometimes it may go up to 10 seconds. But the model is trained within that. But when we talk about images and images, or when we talk about particular neural networks, so at that time we need something that is not that can compute on multiple let's say multiple levels. So like data can be divided into multiple units. So as we know that GPU has multiple cores, so data can be divided into multiple cores, and this all can be executed in a faster way. So it's like in a simple terminology we would say it as like the CPU is a very powerful unit, but it can do one task at a time. But when we talk about GPUs, its core can be lesser powerful, but it can do 10 tasks at a time. So when we have like data and which the spread is much, like in images, we need to analyze a complete matrix. So for that purpose we need GPU, and when we are specifically focusing on neural networks, like we are having those tensors, it's recommended to use TPU. So they are having all these things here. You can change the session type here, and like when you like predict when in an image, like this image is of this particular category, or if we are using image for a respiratory tract analytics, then if we have such images, then what we can do is we can just simply switch it to GPU, and then we can like decrease the speed. So on CPU it may take up to like few hours, and on GPU it may take in few minutes. It may take time in few minutes. So this is something which is very useful here. Again, you have one more advantage here. That is, you can just like save your notebook and keep it running. So if I just click on that save version, I have the option of whatever I want. I have this advanced settings in which I can quick save won't save, but if you click on save and run on and give it a version name, in background it will keep on running. So you don't need to even keep your PC on. You can just keep it off. It's completely online, so you can carry out your own work using this particular particular website where you can just create your own notebooks and keep them running in background. So it's kind of very like useful. So and also it will give you a like wide range of data sets, like which you need to learn ML or you need to start with. So there is these things that I have observed recently, like if there is a particular message, and what I have seen people doing is recently, for messages it's fine, but it's like if I need to classify a query, like classify this level of this message, or classify kind of emotions in this message. So what we are doing is nowadays we are just like using this OpenAI and just carrying out some APIs out of it, and just we are giving it a prompt. Okay, whatever user inputs a message, classify it on the scale of 10. So this is a good thing that we are doing, but if you want a concrete or a baseline for it, like like if I want to know like how in details like why this message is spam, what is kind of score it achieves. So I'm not saying don't use OpenAI or use OpenAI for right things. I just want to say that when we are using a particular analytical, when we are want to derive a particular analytical thing like whether this message is spam or not, or whether what score can you give, or what can be the next prediction of this data set. So all these things using GPT at base level is okay, but when you are into deep analytics, I would really recommend you to use ML approaches for predictions. It's very concrete in that way. Don't just directly rely upon OpenAI. OpenAI is the first thing that you would do. If you find it reliable, do it, but for a concrete and a derived results, I would say go for ML analytics, because when you talk about any census data, as we had this session about big data, it will give you predictions, but getting a concrete predictions from any ML model is important. So use, I would say use right tools, or right, not necessarily tools, but right approaches for dealing with right problems, I would say. So here we will get different problems here. Just can you open that please? So here, you can just search for any databases, you can set all your settings, you can add your own, input your own database, you can input your own things here. So that was about the Kaggle. And then the next part that we were talking about is like image data, any kind of data that we are having. Same thing, you can do it using multiple tools, and you can just do it. The second part, you can we have one more thing that generally leads to, or whether we can say that is used from older times. Like we have been learning graphs, we have been learning charts and everything. So after doing all those ML analytics, like we are having this report. So okay, this is my correlation, this is my this is my particular analysis of that particular function or something. So it's very important, but at the same time, representing it to the people is also one of the things that we need to focus on. So when we talk about representing a thing, so if I go to a particular industry, telling them, okay, your data, from your data we have retrieved that these parameters are leading to this, these parameters are leading to this. But they will ask, so what are the optimal parameters? So what predictions do we get at our end? So that is something which industry looks for. So when you are out in the industry, they will of course giving them an analytical report. Like maybe the person who is in the field will like it. Of course, that's the most important part of it, and it contributes to 80% of it. But the 20% thing, the thing that makes the impact for a client is basically representing that data. So you observe some few things, like we have this thing called as heart rate, and we have these things heart rate, blood pressure monitor, and then we are having like SPPU levels. So these are few things which we were using since an older time. So from the COVID time, it became more, let's say, more like crucial, or more people started looking towards these parameters. And then the smart watches era came, and then we are having all the smart watches. And in all the smart watches, we are having these features, which is blood pressure. We are having we are firstly having this heart rate, stress level, O2, and then we are in some of them we are having the blood pressure and temperature as well. But if you observe some of the watches, so I am not promoting the brands, but I like the ideas which they are using. They are giving you the energy score. What is this energy score basically? Like, okay, in real life it may happen like, okay, this is something that is kind of an extra feature, or maybe it's just a marketing way, you would say. But the idea, or something they have tried something new, which many people like it, which is energy score, which is something like you have slept for this many hours yesterday, your heart rate was stable at this much time, then you have blood pressure, which was something yesterday, and we have monitored your sleep. So today you have energy score of this. So I would say, I'm not saying seeing the second day of a person, if a person gets low score, he might get demotivated by it. It's another part. But one person can also work upon, okay, improve my sleep, improve my health and everything. So he can try that aspect when he gets that energy score. So that's something new. Then we are having this particular car systems. In car systems, we are having these features which nowadays tells us in ADAS, we are having these features like whenever we feel sleepy, the car itself parks to the left side of the road and everything. So this is something where we had these applications about AI, like recognizing the eyes of a person since an older time. But using this pattern, like these eyes are shutting in this pattern multiple, so they are not just blinking; they are shutting in a particular pattern. When that thing is observed, the car stops itself at the left side of the road. So this is something which can be implemented, like not the car part, but the algorithm part. It is possible at upper level. That's like we know the ML part, we can just see the images, and we can just train our algorithm on it. If that particular pattern is observed about eyes, we can park our car at the left. Think about it, what other algorithms can be developed in such a way. So, like whether it's kind of like something to avoid accidents or something to like tell user not to speed up the car right now looking at the road, or maybe it's we are having CCTVs everywhere notifying people about the road situations, or particularly if a particular accidents are happening at a particular place, what are the what observations are on the camera and what AI algorithm predicts. So these all things are also there which we can be developed. So this is something we need to focus on. So for this purpose, like this all part, like giving all those like analyzing images and knowing these things in words and everything will be demonstrated by Vaishnavi. But before that, I'll be just demonstrating the second part of my second topic, which was about this particular representation of a particular thing. So when we are having a particular ML model, so if you can see, this is this code is not written by me. Different codes are available here over Kaggle. You can just use them. But I would say don't just directly use them. Like first observe what they have done, because sometimes it happens like your input data is different, and when your input data changes, everything just changes. So this is something to learn from, not to directly. This is not just to use directly. So you know, like your data, for your data you can just remove last 2 layers of that neural network and you can add your own layers of neural network, whatever you require. So do all those changes in this, and once when models are ready with you, what you can do is you can just extract those models. So for ML models, you must have heard about library pickle, and for you can even extract this neural network models in sequences or H5 type. So these are just extensions, you can just search them later on. So you can just extract those models. You can just deploy it on your local or maybe a cloud server. So if you are not having a cloud server, you can try something which is called as Python Anywhere. So it is one of the free tools that you get over internet. You can deploy your app for 3 months and you can just check out your own things. So you can just add this point to your set. Like I'll be mentioning some of the points in some of the websites. If you have alternative, it's well and good. If you are not having the alternatives to it, I would say you can try to note it, and you can just develop your applications on it. So if you are aware, there is a thing called as Flask application. So Flask application is something like an API, like you can have having a link and you can just run your web app on it. It involves a combination of Python code and you are having HTML on the back. You can just change all this. You can have even JS space and all, JavaScript pages and all. But so yes, you can have this Flask API is implemented in this Python Anywhere code. And what happens in Python Anywhere code is like you can just write your own logic and you can have an app develop over the internet, and it's available to all the users. So if you are developing a Flask app, it will be just available to the people who are connected on the same Wi-Fi. But if you are using this website, there may be other websites as well. If you know, you are free to suggest those. But yes, this Python Anywhere will allow you to deploy your own app to check different things over the internet. And then thing is, what you can do is, if you are aware about libraries like Matplotlib, Seaborn and something, you can just create your own graphs using them for visual representation. Else, you have a very good options, which is to learn Power BI or Tableau. I'm not saying don't learn all the tools, just keep one to hand if you are interested in visualization. So this is one of the Grafana which I have deployed. So what I have done is just open the VS Code. Yes. So what I have done here is, I have just written a code. Just don't focus on the code for now. You can just use the OpenAI tools to get your own code. So you must be like specifying the requirements to ChatGPT basically. Don't ask it, okay, develop me an app for me which does this. No, specify what you want exactly. The more precise you are with this AI model, the better results you get. And it shows like you are also, if you are well versed with your project, it will give you a very nice output. So don't go blindly while using this AI application. So what I have done is that we are creating an SQLite DB in which we are adding, like we are just synthesizing random values, not random values, but in those range for heart rate, stress level, and everything. So and we are just channeling it for DB. So for if we are adding any kind of watch or any kind of smart watch or any whether it's a machine related to heart rate or anything, so we can get that. So once we have all this data with us, once we are having this data with us, so what you can do is you can just install Grapha now, or if you are having Tableau, it's also fine. Whatever tool you have, you can just use it. And then, okay, you will get these options in, like at different places in different applications. So I will tell you to focus on a particular website as such. So now here you can see I have the options of data. So it's basically written data sources if it is not visible to you. You can add data source here, and these applications support wide range of inputs, like whether it's just an Excel sheet CSV input, or whether it's a particular database input, or whether it's an online input, like online database you have a particular URL. So this can be a bit complex at beginning, but just focus on one thing at a time. Okay, I want to start with SQLite or MySQL, or I want to start with Postgres. Just start with it, and you can just add your data source. And then comes to the a part of dashboards. So this is one of the dashboards. So it's not zoomed to data. What I do is the code which I had written previously. We had written a code previously which was simulating the data. So now you can see it's just simulating movement data. It's generating it per second. And now you can see on dashboards, like it's refreshing every 5 seconds here. And then we are getting this particular score, like what is the systolic, then what is diastolic, blood pressure, body temperature, and everything. Then here, what the options do we get is we can just change the graph however we want. We have different categories of graph here. So this may not be just the ideal quality, but I just want to show you what kind of themes and everything we get. So you can just have all those things. If you want to set a threshold, like if a value goes to above, let's say I want it as blue when value goes above 70. So there is no value going above 70. Sorry for that. So this is baseline value. I'm just changing the time. I guess it's managed by color schemes. So yes, I can select my color palette whatever I want. So by series name I can just select it by a particular value. Whatever color palette I want, then I can select whatever kind of graph I want here. So if a value is 72, it's going to blue. If it is increasing, it will become slightly more purple. Then such things can be done. Plus, we are how to select a particular column. It's just simply SQL query. So here I have added a simple SQL query. Select like I have to select timestamp as field time and then heart rate. And I'm just whatever the values are synthesizing, I'm just channeling it to the dashboard. So I'm discarding it for now. Here you can see I have mentioned it a range. Whenever a system will process 170, then it turns to red. So you can edit all these things in settings. So see, if it crosses 170, it can turn to red. Again, I am having different kinds of graph, then I have this different types. So all these things may not be useful at like for every kind of graph. Of course, every kind of graph needs to be different. But yes, we are having this particular stat, then we are having these color schemes. Like if it crosses clearly, I want blue, and if it is not crossing, so all these things can be done. You can even get gradient and everything. So now they have changed their UI a little bit, graph analysis. But yeah, we get such things, and then it's simply like for monitoring, it's very good. Like here, even they have the options of alarm. So if a particular value crosses so particularly, we simply get an alarm. We have the options in settings to connect it to speaker, then music and all those things. So these all applications can be developed in class, and you can just use Matplotlib library or whatever. You can create your own graphs. So you can use such tools to create your online graphs, and you can set alarms, parameters, and everything. And this creation of this doesn't take much time. You just have to take in every tool, like whether it's Tableau or whether it's like Power BI, whatever it is. I just here you can add new dashboard, and so here you can just add a visualization. So what kind of visualization I want? I will just specify my SQL query here. Then I will specify what kind of visualization I want. So we have a lot of visualizations, and these visualizations again change depending on what kind of input we have. And once we have added to all those things, we can just like use those visualizations. So there was one more of this, which we did it previously for some of the like one of the industries. So please zoom into data. So again, whatever you want, like see here I have added 3 ranges. So if it is up to this value, it will show green. If it increases, like if the temperature increases beyond that point, it will show yellow. Otherwise, it will show red. So whatever this custom colors and customization. So we need to be familiar with the UI. So of course, using this application will give you more knowledge about it. So it will take like maybe 1-2 days to explore all of the options that it provides. But yeah, this is one of the way of representing your data. And when you have all those machine learning models like ready with you, you can just extract them. You can just set it up using your own like Flask application, Fast API, or any kind of API. And once the applications are set, you can just deploy it on your local end, or you can just deploy it over any cloud service. So I didn't mention cloud service because cloud services are good, but they charge, of course. So if you talk about machine learning, we need only CPU. But when we are talking about large language models, so specifically the next part would be about large language models. So it includes all the models like ChatGPT or some other models. So for that purpose, you need not just need GPUs as well. GPU instances. You need GPU instances to run it. For example, if you are having if you are choosing something from Google, from GCP. So you need to have a good GPU device. So it costs you around, let's say $1 per hour. So if you calculate in the long run, if you are having a big audience, like 1,000 people are accessing your website for running a particular model, then that's good. But if we are having little less people at the beginning, let's talk about beginning stage, or at least for the less number of people, costing 50 rupees per hour, it's not an affordability, to be honest. So, since it starts with 50, I would say, it may increase even more, like 400 rupees per hour and something like that. Those GPU instances cost a lot. So, it's always recommended to calculate what are you planning with this project? What kind of costing are you expecting? Because when we talk about this GPUs, like whether it's an NVIDIA or whatever, we just think about them in a gaming perspective. But these GPUs can help. These GPUs are the things where your like ChatGPT or similar model runs. So basically, this ChatGPT and all these models, they have a particular model at their backend, and that is basically developed using various concepts. So one of the concepts is transformers, if you have heard. So in transformers, it's basically an attention mechanism. So if we talk about ChatGPT, it's not a question answer kind of model. It's basically a generating model. So whatever word is given to you, it generates the next word. So it's basically simply, as we say, when we talk about a particular, let's say, tell me about this particular, let's say, ice cream. Right? Let's take a nice term. So what it will do is, it will, with related to ice cream, it will find the next word. which is associated with it, whether it's a fruit or whether it's a chocolate or whether whatever it is. And then it will choose the next appropriate word. So ice cream is something which is cold or something. So it will choose all those associated words and it will generate one word at a time. So what will be the next word? So it's not an answering model, it's basically a generating model. So it is trained in such a way that whenever you give it some problem, it tries to answer. So it has been trained in such a way, but it generates the next one. So it's not just one, let's say one OpenAI kind of model. So we are having this security concept. So like some of the companies have their own security related things, or some people want their own things. Like they don't know security defense, or whether it's related to any like doctor personal data of patient. So it's not ideal to give this data to everyone, like share it with GPT all the time. So I would say whatever data you give over the internet, it gets stored. So there privacy concerns, like ChatGPT tells you your data won't be used or may not be even read by the ChatGPT let's say creators. So that doesn't stop like saving of that data. Whatever data you are giving, there is a chance like some people cannot take risks with like defense related security, or whether it's a personal data of a particular user. So people prefer to carry out these tasks at their local. So some of these things, as we proceed to the third part of it, first part was about the data, text related data, the numerical data and the predictive maintenance and everything, like predictive analysis. The second part was about knowing, we are having this image data and everything, we need to do some predictions on them and we need some good visualizations on them. And the third part, as we proceed, was about the LLMs. Like the third part where we widely see this AI things, which is tools such as ChatGPT or our own deployed tools. So I'll hand that over to Vaishnavi. So she will be proceeding.
Hello everyone. So like therapy part explained by Sawant, I would like to keep the next session interactive. So all of you have used ChatGPT earlier. So what types of models have you heard of? Like can you name some of the models like ChatGPT OpenAI model is there, but besides that, any other models you have used?
Gemini.
Gemini. Yes. So those all of the models that you mentioned, like Gemini, Cloud, etc., those are using some, like there is also some models of that. Let's suppose I am trying with ChatGPT. So there will be again inside models like GPT 4.0, something between 5 or nano, mini, different types of models depending on the subscription of that model. So there is difference between subscription paid models and there is difference between. So why do you think they take subscription for specific models, or why do they give some models for free? Like any assumptions you have around that? Anyone? Anything?
Accuracy of data.
Yes, accuracy of data, but you are better in the paid models than the free models. And why do you think that's the case? Why they are able to models and not the free models?
Free models generate your perception. Like if you are saying giving him a task in a positive way, then it will give you answer in what you are thinking in that way. If you give same question in negative way, then it will give you answer in that way only.
Yes, but whatever you say is correct. Why that happens is, hello? So why that happens? Because which is like free model, so that is using
Parameters are less.
less parameters it has, less configuration it has. It does not require much of the computational power to do that. But then there is paid models which use large amount of data. They are trained on large amount of data. And then if we ask something, there is large amount of reasoning is used, large amount of computation is used. To give us a better result, they are deployed on their servers, which are like, probably you must have known about data centers, servers. There is like large amount of data gets processed and we get answer frequently. But the same thing as in the morning section, Ajay sir also mentioned that there is security concern. Like as a institution, suppose JSPM University or other, you don't want your student data to be fed to the other body. Suppose you want something to do at your own local university level, you don't want your data to go outside. And then you want to deploy it to your end. So you will be having access to everything. You will be posting that on your server. Suppose there is some PC you are taking as a server which is having CPU. You can just put in some CPU disk we get. So there are like NVIDIA GPU disk we get different. We can use it and then we can like install that model at our own. So I'll be showing you some things like if you go here in the Olama library, you will be like you can write this down, then you can like, visit it later. So there are different types of models which are posted. Suppose there are so many models, Gemini, Llama, and then Twin, Phi. There are like different like Phi is model of Microsoft, then there is a Twin model of some Alibaba or DeepSeek. Or DeepSeek, etc. Different types of model are hosted here. And if you are not able to see whatever is below there, but there are like they come into the different sizes. So what they do, they quantize those big models. Like the model, if you want to run at our end, they are having very large storage. Suppose I want to install the model, it will be having 100 of GBs space it will require to run at my own space. But if I want to test something, suppose there is small application I want to run. So we can use like small models such as 3G. Usually 3G model size goes up to like 2 to 3 GB space only it takes. So you can run it on your local machine only. So here we have like using Llama 3.2 3G, we have like deployed one AI application, healthcare related application. So what we have done, so there is this, if we are, there is also different ways. Anyone else know that where can we import models? Any platform you are aware of besides Llama? Yes, perfect. Hugging Face. So you can also go to Hugging Face. There are models deployed. There is like simple code, like there are different types of transformers are there. 2-3 lines of code is there. You can just use that code. But the thing is, on Hugging Face, it is using Hugging Face API. So whatever models are deployed on Hugging Face, their API will be there and you can just run it directly here. But like if you like to use when using Olama, you can do whole setup. You won't be needing any API key. You will just have to install that model. So you will just need to run one command such as pip install Olama and then that and then whatever model is there. So here. So here we have installed Llama 3.2 1B model. So 1B model is around 1.3 GB model. So using this code, I have also given it a prompt. And so suppose I want to create an AI healthcare chatbot. So I have given it using this model, like I have installed this model. There is also two options. If I want to stream my output or if I want my output to be generated when entire response is generated from the side of enemy. So either you can stream or either you can just stream or just get the entire response in there. And we can also give prompts such as like you are a healthcare assistant guiding patient against the audience answer. So this is general response I have given, but if you want to be in any particular format, suppose we want this to be in a report format, so then it will be just like patient history or this is the diagnosis, like it will give it in the intent format, indexing format. So we can also give it different types of prompts and depending on whatever type of output we need, we will be able to get it using the prompt only. So I'll show you the running part. So this is the Flask API we have used. So it is now deployed. So we are using Flask API either. So once either you can use class API if you want to run it on your only single PC, but if you want to everyone to use it or want to deploy it over a network, you can just deploy it over any kind of server if we have any, or if you don't want to have a cost of purchasing server or you don't want to pay for a GPU, you can just use any cloud services, AWS, GCP, Azure, any instances you can purchase. There are different types of instances depending on your requirement. There are also high-end instances, so which will be very expensive, but what we give you also having more computational power. There are no instances required on your need. If they have pay-as-go model, you can deploy it there, and however long you would want to run your application, you can run it over there. But currently we are using only speech, so we are deploying on the class API. Suppose this is I have given to understand business assistant. So if I ask them if any I am feeling fever, suppose I am feeling fever. So it won't be giving specific diagnostic as it is very small model. You must be using ChatGPT. If you talk to ChatGPT about our symptoms, it gives us better response because it is deployed on their server. But I am just giving you this as an example. If you have data concerns and you don't want to share your patient history or any private data to someone you want to deploy at your end, so then this is what you can do. Either you can take APIs from a link. There are different models depending on if you want to analyze image, if you want to analyze any audio, if you want to cancel the noise from the audio, or anything you want. There are definitely model available on the Weekdays or at the Ola. So based on your machine configuration, how much capacity your machine has, if your machine is powerful enough to have 70 GB of model installed on it, then you can use higher-end model also. And if you just want to try or test some model or see, just to test your capability so that you can teach it to someone. Suppose there are students who want to create some project, but you don't have to give entire end-to-end project. You just create a prototype, a small model installed on your machine. So this will be enough to justify that. And for the faculty also, if you want to show your students something that this is how the model works, without if there is a network issue and then this model is on your PC only. So if you run it and you show it to the student, it will be enough to show the prototype of how things work. So there will be. So yeah, then you are able to deploy your own end. So suppose I am saying this, I am having fever, so it just give me I need to draw etc. and some basic precautions I should be taking. So like this, you can deploy different models based on your requirement, and you will be able to have it on your own. So whatever we have learned today, there are different types. Suppose we want to we have having data, we want to analyze it, then we go to traditional machine learning steps we follow and then get the predictions, and we want to visualize that prediction, then we use tools like Grafana, Matplotlib, Power BI, Tableau, and then again we want to have higher intelligence. We don't want to do something from scratch. There is already this machine models which are already trained on big data, but then also we want it to also have this of whatever data we have. Suppose this is model, this is already trained on whatever was trained on, but then I want it to give my side of data. Suppose I am faculty and I want it to have data of all the students and all the test scores that is there. But and then if I ask it I want details of the student and how the student is doing. So if I want something based on my data only and I want to have interaction with this type of model, then I do RAG approach, which is required augmented generation. So you must be having idea about what RAG is, right? Anyone familiar with what RAG chain is?
Retrieval augmented.
Yes, what does it do exactly? What idea you have? So it bypasses whatever suppose the model is already trained on big amount of data, but I don't want that amount of data. If I ask question, I don't want model to go to whatever the big data it was going it has, and I don't want to iterate it through all the everything, but I just want it to iterate through whatever data I have given to it. So it bypasses that data and only considers whatever data I have given to it. So it only just retrieve whatever document I have given to it. So that is what track approaches do. So this was all we can conclude with the use of LLMs, and what I mentioned, small models is called as small language models, SLMs. So yeah, this was it about LLM, SLM and generative AI. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We are done. So do you have any questions around what you want to do with models or what are some questions?
You be able to share that SLM file. What you have generated in that Python, that can you share that code?
Yes, we can share it, or you can just directly go to Olama library. You will be able
From there only.
there you will only install that model. And even if you just install that model from there, you can just depend. I generated AI in healthcare, but if you want AI in education, you can just go to ChatGPT and ask it to use this model and generate your chatbot, basic like that. So once you have got it clear in your mind about what you want, then code will be generated only. You have to run it. But still, if you want, you can send it to us. We'll share.
So yes, about this Olama, if you go over the internet, you will find two libraries, Olama and Olama-Python. So Olama-Python is more effective when you are using language chain or such features. But if you are buying it plain, like what I have done, you can just go to plain Olama. You can just search OLLAMA. You can find it over the Google, and in their documentation, like this like their official documentations itself, they have code written over it. So you don't need to you don't have to ask anyone about it. You will find it there. If you need any help, we are there. If any help is required. Again, it comes a question like I asked one question a few months back. I just remember. We were developing or we were working on 2-3 projects, which were one of the project was related to healthcare, and another 2-3 projects were some of the external projects. But I asked a question to a certain someone okay, how ideal is it? We are just asking prescriptions from ChatGPT. Okay, I am having fever, just prescribe me something. We were working on some doctor's application basically. So then, if I am asking some in GPT kind of a figure, or if I am developing an application that will replace the doctor, not replace, but that will work instead of doctors. So how ideal is that? Because everywhere it said don't rely on GPT and everything. Then that person was one of my teachers from this LLM field. So that person told me one day, of course, currently it's something that you need to observe. You always if you see in prompt also, Vaishnavi has mentioned, in prompt, in system prompt, in LLM we are having this option to give it the instructions. So we have specifically mentioned for this LLM, whatever happens, always ask the patients to consult to particular doctor. Because it's always ideal, because it's not ideal to directly rely on GPT for it. But that person gave me an opinion, currently it's always recommended to consult a doctor. But if there is some things let's say it's a first aid, I have got injuries on my leg and I don't know what to do. Okay, injury is fine, but let's say if a particular animal bites or small things, which we are not getting immediate access to know what kind of first aid we can get out of it or some similar things. So these things can be proven helpful. Or in future, if we are having some small cold related in future, I'm not talking about current situations. What we can do is, that person told me basically, that we can just think about using some basic medications. So if we are not using any kind of medications, we know we take medications from some of our industrial. So if you are having cold, take this particular medicine. If you are having slight fever, if the symptoms are not worsening, take this medicine, it's lightweight. So this can be done for a lightweight cost. So this is what that person advised me. So this opinion opinions vary. These things are something that we all need to focus on. Like at the, or what level we should consider while using this GPT and everything. So there are many debates. Like in future, like this is the future. This will